special guest for you tonight.
Hello, we've been expecting you.
This is not a test. Your government and corporate overlords have implemented new measures for your own health and safety. We are just following orders.
Everything is going to be fine.
I'd like to introduce...
Welcome, everyone swanky, to another If I Whiskey, everybody. Jason, how you doing?
I'm doing good. If I could talk, I'm great.
You spent all your vocal cords making that fucking intro, man. Woo!
God, I was just screaming at it the whole time. Yeah, I'm good, man. Welcome.
It is
welcome
so
back to the show, everybody. We've got William
thank you.
here.
Good to be back. No, that
got William
intro
here.
is amazing.
Oh, thank
Amazing
you.
work. It's nails it.
Hey, Justin's right on time.
early.
Welcome, buddy.
All right. Welcome, everyone. Brand new If I Whiskey. We're going to be talking about AI, and we've got clips and stuff. I have no idea where this is going to go because all of us watched a lot of the same stuff, and I guarantee our rabbit hole brains went down all different branches this weekend. So our heads are like, ugh. So can't wait. So I'm very much looking forward to it. Before we continue, before even the simulation sip, I do want to give a shout out to Liberty Memes. Here's my little story. I met Liberty Memes. I met this gentleman, David. I met him at the Ron Paul event. He was walking around doing selling or doing the silent auction for like Ron Paul signed memorabilia. So he and I just struck up a conversation. No idea who he was or what he was. We're just talking. He was just telling me some stuff, and I was like, cool. Had a great conversation. Come back here. All of a sudden, I find this guy, this gentleman, Austin Blaylock. In September of 2021, Austin was out jogging. He was hit by a car. Okay. The accident caused him to be a quadriplegic. So he's received no compensation for the accident. He lives in Lake Charles, Louisiana, and we're trying to help him out to get a van. So David posts this thing on Facebook about getting a van. And I'm like, this is great. Cool. Let me get in touch with Thomas Queter of Mobility Independence Foundation, whom I met at Freedom Fest, right? Like how I love connecting people. That's what it's all about, right? So David, I instantly message him on Facebook. I'm like, David, have you heard of Thomas Queter? Let me send you this podcast I did with him. He's a real nice guy. He goes, yeah, we got his first wheelchair. Or his first van. And I'm like, oh, really? And I told him about how Spike introduced me to Thomas. He's like, yeah, Spike did the same thing for Thomas and him. So it's like this big circular thing. So I just want to say, go to libertymemesfoundation.org, libertymemesfoundation.org. And there's a whole list of people that you can help. Austin is on that list. We're trying to get him a van. They had a money bomb. Is that what they're called? The Ron Paul money bomb? Is that what they're called, I think? So they tried one. They did one for this weekend. They got part of the goal, and it tells you exactly, just like a GoFundMe or something. But really awesome cause by David. I just want to thank him for doing that. We'll probably try to get him on the show at some point. We're gonna probably have a conversation because he does great work. So that's where we're at.
That's good. I went and threw him $20 today, just putting my money where the mouth is. Getting that guy set up, getting somebody who really needs help and giving it directly versus having to go through some bullshit government system. So I always appreciate that stuff.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your supports. Thank you all for your support.
Anyway, I think it's time.
It is time.
It's time for the moment that sends the lizard people running back to the sewers. It scrambles the CIA spy network. It alters our base reality, and it's our very own whiskey rebellion, known only as the simulation sip.
All you need is a cup, a mug, a goblet, a horn, a flask, or any ancient alien thermos filled with any beverage Big Pharma hasn't recalled yet. Could be coffee, tea, ivermectin smoothies, even whiskey. Dealer's choice.
So join us now as we raise our vessels in unison, confusing the AI overlords, forestalling the next CDC directive, and maybe, just maybe, waking up one more NPC. Here we go. So, welcome back to If by Whiskey. This is our little glitch in the Matrix. We are joined by William. I am. We're going to be talking about AI today.
Yeah.
We were talking about this
welcome.
on. Yeah, welcome. Welcome.
Good to be here.
William, why don't you give us a quick introduction? Let's start with that.
Well, I was born the last year of the boomers. Never have identified with them because I've always been a new tech junkie. Any kind of tech, I always wanted to get involved in. When I was working with different corporations, I was always looking at technology as a solution. So I jumped onto blockchain and Bitcoin and all that early, and just kind of matches up, and as well as now AI. So
hold on a sec. You just faded out there yourself. Are you an AI? Are you a hologram?
Yeah, no. No, I am not.
Not at all.
No, I am not. And no, I am not a Fed.
All right. We did kind of establish that in our last episode with you, but okay, we'll take your word for it.
But yeah,
we'll keep asking though.
In...
Look, you could have been converted in like a week. They do that.
I know it can happen real quick.
Show me the money.
I am real. I can pinch myself, and
there he goes again. You guys are seeing this, right? It's not just me.
What? Am I really glitching?
I think when you lean back, I think it's your background.
Oh yeah, because
background. You get lost in the background. That's what it is.
My green screen. Yeah, that's what it is.
Who do we have in the background? Is somebody walking by? There was a ghost.
The shirt really reflects, and so it zaps.
That's what it is. So he is a hologram.
It's perfect for the AI episode week, right?
Yeah.
What's funny is the bookcase is real. William's fake. It's not the other way around.
Well, actually, there is a big bookcase to my right, but behind me is not real, gentlemen. But I am real. So
we were chatting a little bit about the boomers before the show, and you mentioned you're not quite a boomer, Gen X.
Yeah.
He's like a cusper.
But boomer is really a state of mind. We tease Mark about being a boomer all the time because he has troubles with the technology.
It's crazy. I built computers with my hands. Yeah. Give me the physical stuff, I can do it. You get me into that software ones and zeros shit, and I am out. I just can't. I'm out. Not interested.
Yeah.
No, I've always been kind of a big picture guy, looking at patterns in the future and this kind of thing. That's always fascinated me, and so
that's good.
Start jumping on.
So you may be a Fed, you may be AI, but you're not a boomer. So at least that you've got that going for you.
Even though I was born in '64, the last year of a boomer, I'm evergreen young. We're just getting everybody confused.
Yeah, like I said, it's a state of mind. If you're sticking to old ways and not adaptable to the future, that kind of makes you a boomer.
Right.
Yeah. But anyways, we're talking about AI today. This came up. I think you were in the chat in one of our episodes a few weeks ago, and this came up. So you said you've been doing a lot of research into it. Tell us maybe a hook of why we should be talking about this today.
Well, I am definitely one of those that has been black pilled. Red pilled, white pilled, red pilled, and then black pilled. It's like doomed. We're all doomed. We're all gonna die. And I started digging in. I was already real heavily into blockchain, and I started digging into AI, and the question was, well, if AI is going to take all our jobs, then what? And I stumbled across a gentleman by the name of David Shapiro, and he is one of these extremely intelligent tech people, and was a developer, still is a developer, but he has really been digging deep into what's called post-labor economics. In other words, we all lose our jobs to AI and automation, then what? And it's the term is called post-labor economics, when we've moved away from trading our time and our labor for wages. Well, then what? And so I went down that rabbit hole, and for the first time, I could see opportunity and maybe an out, and maybe a golden opportunity for humanity rather than being black-pilled. So that's the hook. There is an opportunity here. We are at the crossroads, people. I mean, folks, we're going to either fall into an ugly dystopian world ruled by, you think you got oligarchs now, well, then you'd fall into tyrannical technocracy is what it's called, with humanism and all that. Or we have the opportunity of really true abundance with AI doing so much for all of us. So that's where I'm at. And it's not an easy route if we go down that road, and I certainly hope so, because otherwise, yeah, AI is going to eat us for lunch. Terminator, baby. It'll be
Jason, I definitely want to pull up one other comment before that, because it is very important. This is much more important right now before we can.
Wine has taken over. This is from Zach. Wine has taken over the whiskey show, and I'm all for it. William, what are you drinking, good sir?
Well, I got 7. Thank you. I have 7 deadly sins from Zinfandel. Unfortunately, sorry for your audience. Unfortunately, it is a California wine.
Oof.
But
as long as it's not from Newsom's winery.
No. It's from Lodi, which is in the Central Valley.
Oh yeah, Lodi. I know Lodi.
Nothing wrong with a little wine.
Go ahead and pull up Jason's. I think it was this one, right?
Oh, this is a question for another time. I think we're going to get to some of this.
Yeah, we're going to get to this, but we definitely pull it up.
That's getting too deep too soon. But Zach, thanks for being on top of it. So we'll come back to you.
He's always ahead of the game. Way to go, Zach.
Oh, he's definitely early adopter right there.
So before we get too deep into the AI stuff, I think not everybody, but some of you guys have probably seen this going around. Jim Acosta interviewed an AI avatar of one of the Parkland shooting victims. So parents were on board with this, apparently. The dad sanctioned it and said, yes, turn my son into a creepy AI robot and have him talk to Jim Acosta, another creepy AI robot, on his podcast. He's not with CNN anymore, I found out. I did not know that.
Oh yeah, you didn't hear he got shit canned?
No, but that's great. Good news.
Yeah, it's like all those guys. Like when when you got Matt out, everybody got Matt out, I guess, or whatever.
Yes.
Are you
All
guys
right,
ready?
so we can get started with this, because this will set up where we're going with the AI world.
The parents of a student killed in the Parkland High mass shooting have created an AI version of their late son, and now his AI is doing interviews.
I was taken from this world too soon due to gun violence while at school. It's important to talk about these issues so we can create a safer future for everyone.
That's a digital recreation of Joaquin Oliver, killed in that mass shooting back in 2018. Today's interview with former CNN host Jim Acosta took place on what would have been Oliver's 25th birthday. Acosta and the recreation of Oliver discussed curbing gun violence.
Joaquin, I would like to know what your solution would be for gun violence.
Great question. I believe in a mix of stronger gun control laws, mental health support, and community engagement. We need to create safe spaces for conversations and connections, making sure everyone feels seen and heard. It's about building a culture of kindness and understanding. What do you think about that?
I think that's a great idea, Joaquin. We definitely need more of that.
I think that's a great idea, Joaquin. We definitely need more of that.
I know.
Two AIs talking.
I think the AI was more realistic than Acosta was, to be honest.
Yeah, it's got to be weird though. I mean, do you guys talk to your virtual assistant, your Siri, your or the AIs can even do it now? I think Grok, you can do voice mode. Have you tried?
I do. I talk to it. Especially when I'm on the trails walking the dogs, I'm having a conversation with the AI. Connection wise, it's kind of funny because it'll change, or used to change languages on me. Did
it again? He disappeared. Oh, hold on. Ghost William.
He's back.
This is
much more advanced.
I'll never wear the shirt again.
Every 2 seconds.
I'll never wear the shirt again. I'm sorry, guys. That is crazy. I did see it.
So can we talk about the elephant in the room, though? Can we please, Jason?
Yeah, the son. This is not their. Justin says this is. I think he meant not their son at all. Crazy people. Yeah, listen to what it said. It was the most AI nothing answer you could ever get.
I'm sorry. That's what your child believes now. That's what your child believes right now in the grave, 5-10 years after Park. Really? Yeah. No. My heart goes out for the loss of these people. but you are torturing yourselves having this semblance of a whatever, this demonic thing. Like, have you watched the Dark Mirrors where these things get out of hand? It's like, it doesn't work, man. I understand coping. There's better ways to cope. And I understand if you can't get past it, you can't. Like the mother, some people have the mother just can't let the child go or something. I get that. But come on, man, we got to find better ways to find community to help cope and help people heal through these kinds of tragedies, right? Versus have this replacement thing.
Can I play the AI advocate on this one?
Sure. Yeah, sure. Go. Yeah, please, William.
If the parents, let's just say that their son was also active in protesting the Second Amendment right and believed that, the world would be safer with a stronger gun control, in place. Let's just make that assumption. Second point is, if the parents want to or think they're doing a crusade to save, another parent from the grief that they're feeling from a gun violence, I don't even honestly like that term. It's the individual behind the gun. It's not the gun. The gun was just the tool. Is it knife violence and yada yada? It goes on down the road. So I think maybe
that is a very important part of this, because we're talking about a post-mortem person spreading an ideology. So that plays very relevant. The gun violence versus the tool versus the intent, right?
And then the next point I'd make is it's obviously politicizing it. Even if the parents don't feel that way, maybe they feel they're doing a service so that another parent doesn't have their ugly event happening to one of their another parent's children. So maybe I'm looking at from that perspective, maybe a benefit of the doubt, if you will. So it's really, it's quite honestly, now that we've made it into a political thing, and AI being in the way it was handled here, is that any different than someone saying right to life and putting up a poster of a fetus, an aborted fetus? Is that any different than maybe someone else from the other side of the aisle having a different perspective on a different topic that may be more gruesome or graphic? Maybe a Gaza or Ukraine or something of that nature. Who knows? The Uyghurs in China. So when does it end? It's just now using AI. AI is neutral. It doesn't. It's a tool. It's a technology that's being used by someone to further a political message.
Oh yeah. I could certainly understand the intent of the parents, and even if it wasn't publicized like that, wanting to just see your son again, even if it's not a fully real version, I could totally understand. Right.
And Acosta's doing it too.
Yeah,
he's doing it for prompts to get more views, to get more, controversy. It's the shock interview.
I think that's why it got such backlash, is because of that. Is really because of Acosta more than the AI itself. And I also wonder if the AI was better, like if it was more realistic and if it actually gave like a human answer, do you think there would have been as much backlash?
Well, that's coming. We're going to see
weird.
AI.
I'm on a weird side. I find myself on a weird side of this. I find this like I find this to be like an abomination, because we talked IP, but there's nothing more IP than the person. And this is a false representation of someone who did exist. That's like saying what Mark Twain would say. You know what I mean? Like, what kind of political ideology would he have about cell phones in the 21st century, for example? You know what I mean? Like it's not that person. Like, it's one thing if you could transfer the entire brain over, like the consciousness, but this is not the conscious. This is like a semblance of barely a face, a barely a thing with a voice attached. And I totally
he was a
understand
kid, right? Like when he died, he was a child. He was not 18 yet, I don't think.
Right.
So and it's also kind of just like seeing David Hogg speak. I'm like, you're a kid. Why do we care about what you have to say when obviously you're also wrong?
Yeah. What if in the same classroom another child was killed who believed in Second Amendment and thought that maybe the shooter was, their parents thought that the shooter, shouldn't have been at school for various reasons. Maybe there were mental health issues, obviously. and did an advocacy for for mental health. And
careful with the mental health thing. That's a slippery slope about taking everybody's guns, William. Be very careful. We're hearing them talk. Oh, we'll just call them crazy. And I agree with you. You're right. There are mental health issues, but like, once again, liberty's freaking messy, everybody. Liberty is messy. And that's the whole point, is that we got to figure it out through the messiness and keep the liberty.
It was a person who pulled the trigger. It had nothing to do with the gun itself.
Yeah. But in that case you mentioned, I think it would also feel icky. Maybe I'm alone in this. I bet a lot of people who are complaining about it are complaining because of the message and less about the actual ethics of using the AI child to push that message, right? So maybe if it were the other way around, like you said, they probably wouldn't be pushing back so much, and you'd see pushback from the other side.
That's right. That's right.
So I think you're right.
It slips into another thing.
You mind reading that one, Jason, real quick, about what Justin had to say? And then I've got a special announcement after that.
Well, I want to hear William's answer. Sorry. I think we cut you off.
I was just going to say, what's next is the AI is conscious, or the AI is a sentient being, or the AI is a god. And now there's going to be a cult following, and the leader of the cult is an AI. It's probably already happening right now.
We worship Grok.
We've seen it.
We worship ChatGPT.
Dystopian movies like Johnny Mnemonic and a bunch of ones where they have like tech followers.
So
that's going to be very interesting. I think we'll get into some of that. Let's go to Justin's comment. He said, yes, it is different. They're humanizing the person that passed away in a tragedy and acting as if that is an accurate representation of their past feelings, which it may not have been. Yeah, like I said, he was a kid. He probably didn't even think that much about it. And that's kind of why it feels icky to me, is like, we don't know what he was thinking and what he would think 6 years later, or however long ago it was.
Fast forward a year from now, and Acosta starts interviewing another child that's been killed. And fast forward the idea that we don't know it's AI because we can't discern the difference, because AI's gotten that good. But it runs his ratings through the roof because it's such an amazing interview. And
Total
nobody
money
knows
grab,
the wiser that it was an AI representation of someone who had passed.
Yeah. We're
That's
gonna get into all,
especially.
We're gonna get into all kinds of crazy ethical issues with this, but that wasn't the focus of this interview. It was a nice way to kick it off, I think.
Yeah. This is my special announcement, sir. I'm so excited. You have no idea how hard my nipples are right now. Do you see this gentleman right down here? This gentleman is Woodsy44. This is Chris Peralta. This is my old co-host. He called out of the blue today, and we chatted it up. And then I shot him a text because he and I did a AI podcast 4 or 5 years ago. Woods, is that what it was? Anyway, so that's my buddy. That's my old co-host. I'm very excited. Thank you for joining, buddy. Good seeing you, Woodsy.
Hey, welcome.
But how about the comment?
Is that true? But is that true though? Is that also true?
AI generated victim testified at his murder trial.
That can't be right. That cannot be allowed.
Woods, send us the link, bro. If you got it, we'll definitely put it up. But that's crazy.
A judge could do it.
He might be in jest, but I'm not sure.
I think they would.
I just disappeared again. He came back.
Hey, he's back.
Welcome, everybody.
Anyways. Oh, sorry. I was pulling that up. Hi.
Hi. Anyway, all right. Well, welcome. Welcome. And look how many people we got on today. Thank you so much for joining us. We got Free, we've got Legacy, we got Terry. I saw who else do we see up here? Scrolled anyway. But thank you so much for joining us, everybody.
Welcome. So yeah, we wanted to just kick it off with something a little bit more light, as much as a murder victim can be light, because we're going to get into something even bigger than that, which is the whole world. What is the world going to look like with AI? AI is going crazy. It's spreading like wildfire. We've got AI everywhere, creating videos, creating people. You can create Donald Trump saying something even more ridiculous than his normal speech. And it's a crazy world. So where is it going to go? Is it going to take over our jobs? Is it going to make everyone poor? Are we going to have a UBI? These are the kinds of questions that we're trying to answer today.
Yeah.
100%.
What do you guys think?
We got a lot of clips to get to, so
I'm undecided. I mean, I'm a little bit optimistic. I think it's going to do so much great stuff for us. But yeah, we'll see some of these clips here, and that'll spark some conversation, I think, and get us into some specific topics. So this first one, I think, is just kind of introducing what do we have now. And keep in mind, this clip is actually 2 years old, so it may be a little outdated at this point. But it's Per Byland and Bob Murphy from the Mises Institute talking about what it is now versus what people think of when they hear AI, and I think that's important to establish.
Our conversations, the 2 minutes we just spoke, that's already outdated. That's how quick AI works.
Yeah,
2
no
years
kidding.
is like a lifetime. But yeah, this is real important. Everyone, please pay attention, because I think this is really important. Is what is AI actually, and what do we think it is? Our perceptions. It really does play as we filter all of our thoughts and ideas through this.
I mean, there are plenty of different confusions really in this discussion. I think when people talk about AI, they think about things like Skynet in Terminator, or the HAL, or maybe RoboCop or something like that, and that the AI is going to take over control of everything and kill us. And that's almost what it sounds like when Elon Musk, for instance, is out there talking. We're nowhere close to anything like that, and we don't have anything that is even close to a sentient sort of software. So what we have is really algorithms that can do certain things really well. And we even had to change the term, because from AI used to be sort of really intelligent but artificially so robots or software. Now we're referring to these chat bots as AI. So we even had to figure out a new term for what is real artificial intelligence. We use AGI to talk about that, artificial general intelligence, whereas these AIs that we talk about today are simply just really good at communicating, pretending to be a human in text or something like that.
All right. So do we agree so far? I mean, what we have now is like a chat bot. It can create images and videos too, and it's pretty amazing what it can do. But it's not quite like a general intelligence. It's not quite doing everything. It's not really doing calculations. It's not doing the math. If you ask it some math problems, it'll get it wrong half the time.
Time out.
Yeah, what do you think there, William?
Well, there is I got my note here. There is a math arena benchmark. It's called the International Math Olympiad. And the one that just took place in 2025, the best human scored a 42, which was a perfect score. 5% of the humans that took the test scored that. 10% of the humans got a gold medal with a score of 35. But Google Gemini and OpenAI models both also scored a gold. Grok only scored like a 21, 22. I don't think they actually performed the test yet. I'm saying that because there was another conversation that took place just this past week about maybe most of the math formulas will actually be solved by AI within 2 years. And then it'll move into what's called millennial math. In other words, it'll be math equations that we've never even thought of. And I say that because a year ago, the best AI model couldn't even get a silver. It was in the bronze level, like an 18 or a 19 in its score. So the AI that you're using, that you're not paying for maybe on a monthly basis, can do amazing math. And so it's the growth rate of these AIs is, well, it's just it's exponentially, it's on an exponential growth curve. Secondly, let me throw another one quick one at you. Grok or the others just a year and a half ago was at a high school level, maybe at an upper, SAT, almost a perfect SAT score. That was just a year and a half ago, which included the math component as well. But now, Grok Heavy, which costs about $300 a month, it's the equivalent of a PhD level, upper PhD level professor, but not just in math, in every field of study. So for $300 a month, a company or you could have, let's say in your living room, a nuclear, physicist, a biologist, an engineer, of every type of engineer, literally at your fingertips. And they're talking to each other. And people are saying, well, let's come up with a new nanotechnology. And that's what's happening at an exponential rate. So just a year ago, Grok, and I told you Grok wasn't even at the chat AI model. Grok Heavy is at the PhD level. And a year and a half ago, it was an SAT high schooler. So put that in perspective. You couldn't go to school in a year and a half and get a PhD in every field of study in just a year and a half from high school. Mm-hmm. That's freaky.
And certainly not for $3,600 a year.
No. Oh, how'd you like to pay that college tuition?
All right. Well, so we talked about intelligence a while back and talked about how having a PhD, or not specifically that, but those kinds of people fall into certain trappings because of their intelligence, that they think they know more about everything else. And then they tend to fall into traps of, becoming a socialist, for one thing. So would the expertise in all fields, would that help eliminate that? Is it because it's not a biological being that it also helps to eliminate those trappings, or do they still exist?
Mark? There's just no empathy there. There's still logic that has to come to reason. Right now we're talking about AI being able to pull up the facts and not really be creative at the level or have ideas. But that's where the human prompt comes in. The human prompt in that example of Grok Heavy, think of it this way. Wow, I keep disappearing. I think it's my camera might not be plugged in. Think of Grok Heavy being this way. When you go to a college campus, a university, you have the math department in a building, you have history over here, and you have anthropology over here, geology over there, and the professors really don't talk to each other. But now a company can have all of that PhD muscle, brain muscle, intelligence, and they can start asking prompts and get them to talk to each other. And, sky's the limit at that point of what can be created, or new technology, maybe a new form of plastic that's cheaper and, more indestructible for our phones or whatever. So That's what's happening. And that's where the abundance could come in, because right now the universities, the two professors may cross the path at the cafeteria or something, or at a faculty dinner once a year. Otherwise, they're really not going to communicate.
Yeah, I like it. And that's where I'm a little bit optimistic, is because as an individual user, you have the ability to say, hey, I have this idea. I need some math help. Let me go run it by this elite math department. But it's just, it's the AI. Oh, and I need a physics problem solved. Help me with that. And it's done. Help me with writing up a proposal to sell this business. And it's done. So you have all these tools at your fingertips already.
Yeah. The surprising thing was hallucinations. They didn't know these things were going to hallucinate. Others had predicted it. But we're going to get to that.
We're going to get to that, because that's the hiccup is the part where we all die. When it hiccups, we die. There's no joke. If it's connected to a water system and your power and your food and your delivery systems and it hiccups, we die. There's nothing to that. It's if we're that connected to it, there's no way around it. But I was thinking about that. You were talking about having a different scientist in each field. Imagine you're trying to create anti-grav or a new aerodynamic thing. You can get an electrical engineer, an aeronautical engineer. You can build small models because it can then understand the Reynolds number and how then it would then expand to larger with the square of the distance and the space and all that. So it would have all that. So they would be really neat, and it would just create all these things, but it still would take us to have the internal drive, which by Pareto's principle, at best, 20% of us might have. And the drive that we're talking about that you would need to be a maker, you probably got to be in the top 5% of type A focused individuals, in my opinion.
Right.
Which leaves 95% out of it. So just
we hear terms like, AGI and super AI or ASI, and we hear terms like singularity, and we're all coming to, they're very broad terms, quite honestly, in this industry or this field of study. So but there are terms like, agentive, AI, and that's basically where you let the horses out of the barn and they're on the internet, pulling down information. And these are the stories you hear.
And they're just goal oriented. It's like
Yeah.
you give them goal, they get to goal. They do not care how they get there. They get to goal. That's the scary part.
And that's where the scary part comes in, which is called the P doom, or what's the probability of the doom principle where humanity is going to get wiped out, and you hear the number all the way to 99.99% to, a 5% or 20% range. So that's the P doom factor. Nobody really knows because they're already agentive. They've already been released out into the wild. They're not kept in the barn anymore.
Is there any putting the genie back in the bottle at this point?
I don't think so. Well, you got forget Europe. Europe's already shot themselves in the foot. They're not going to be technologically advanced. They got their own issues. Call it woke goes broke. So really, and there really isn't any other countries that are on the forefront other than China and the US. So we're competing for chips, we're competing for power, and it's either corporations or it's government that's competing. And that's where it's not going to be pulled back either, because the idea of one country or a group of companies, reaching that point of singularity or AGI, super AI, whatever you want to call it, means that it's essentially kind of like you said, there are no passwords. So they access the water treatment facility. There are no passwords. We talk about quantum computing sometimes, but there are no passwords. There's no safeguards because anything and everything can be hacked, no matter what the encryption level is. Or, the old school was we'll go ahead and hack the chip itself. The communication device or whatever. That's the old way of going about it. Well, now AI is going to be able to crack any code.
Yeah, and it exists on networks and servers all over the place. So you just can't shut one thing down and it's gone. That's not how it works.
There's no air gap. Once it's in the system, it can replicate, duplicate everything. Yeah. So where are we going from here, guys? I mean,
let's move on. The next one, just kind of wrap up. What is AI? Is it something that's going to replace humans? That's what we're getting to, and that's what Per and Bob are about to talk about. This number 3.
Well, this is clip 3, but this is the one about the will it replace our jobs first? I think.
Oh, okay. I thought there was one more.
I've got Per's number 4. Do you want to play Per now?
Play 4 then.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Give me one second.
Yes.
Look, this is what's beautiful about this. AI wouldn't have fucked this up like this. It would have just.
I just keep seeing myself disappear. They're not going to believe
you're like a ghost, William. I don't know what's going on over there, but you're a ghost in the machine. You're scaring me.
I don't want to touch my camera.
We have the most advanced AI human in the world here.
Is this one better?
Yeah, this looks like it. Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
He's a ghost too.
Well, let me just ask you a big, philosophical one first, and then we can move on to the more economic stuff. So, in your mind, could it be possible that at one day there would be software, whether it's housed inside just a regular computer or inside a robot or whatever, that you would be willing to say, okay, that is intelligence? ChatGPT wasn't it, but yeah, I agree that thing is intelligent.
Well, I think so, but not in the sense that it's an actual human, right? Because that's also
it's not going to be a human, but right, so you could say its intelligence is not the same type of intelligence as humans possess. Sure. I guess that's why they say artificial intelligence. That's what that word artificial is doing.
Right, but there's also a discussion on when do these types of machines actually get rights, because they are just as intelligent as we are and that sort of thing. And I don't think we're going to get there. And is it going to be sort of self-conscious and those sort of things? I mean, I think it can definitely pretend, and it can probably, I don't know, believe it too, in a sense, right? But I don't think that software can get there, at least not the way computers are structured today. So I don't think that is possible. We can definitely get something that could fool us, that is good enough to fool us that it is an intelligence. So you mentioned the Turing test, and I think we can get there for sure. But I don't think we're going to be able to create sentient beings, more or less, out of computers. Maybe if we get to the point where we create a quantum computer, but with the computers as they are today, I mean, they're way too structured and way too black and white. So I mean, the computer is, as most people know, it's basically just a power switch. It's on or off. It's 1 or 0, and then there's layers of complexity added on top of it in terms of software and things like that. Just rules, but there's hardly ever any case where there's a rule that the computer doesn't really know if it applies, so it just fills in the blanks. That's not how a computer works. It's either it is by the rule and that rule applies, or it's not and it doesn't apply. It's always black and white, and humans don't really work like that.
All right. What do you guys think? Do we agree? I mean, yes, there's obviously differences between a human and the AI intelligence, right? But is it that significant? Is it really black and white with these new programs now? Is it really binary? Is it 1s and 0s, or are they thinking? Are they capable of calculating that nuance that humans do?
William?
I'm going to answer this way. This is just me talking. I'm going to say that the lines of how we're defining this are getting blurred, and we're not going to really know eventually if it's AI or not AI, and it's going to become increasingly more difficult. Someone is going to produce some kind of AI music that's going to top the charts, and everyone's going to love it, and they're going to think it's a real musician, a real singer. Mm-hmm. And the same is going to be true with a movie or a social media influencer. And that's when it's going to skip. We're going to say, well, it's a real person. No, it's not. It's AI. No, it's real. No, I saw this person climb in a car and trip over their seatbelt or whatever. And it's such a human thing. They spilled their coffee on their skirt, whatever. And it's such a human thing. That's no AI. That's no robot. And we're going to have a difficult time discerning between the two. And AI is going to become so good at manipulation and control because, like you said, Mark, we're giving them a purpose, and they're going at that purpose with, like, at any cost almost. I'm going to bribe this person to get this answer. I'm going to do this. But right now, they're essentially just a giant repository of information, of data, and they can recite it and pull it up quicker than any of us can. And, we couldn't take a lifetime to get a PhD in every field of study. So that's where we're at right now. They're going to be able to pull amazing feats and amazing, scary shit too. That's gonna shock the world and shock all of us. That's kind of how I answer, I would say. But keep in mind that video is 2 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I wholly disagree with the video, but go ahead, Jason. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, if you really start thinking about how humans work, we don't know everything, but are humans really that advanced, And we start getting to a supercomputer that can do billions of calculations in a microsecond. Then what are we talking about? Humans can't even compete with that. So I think they have potential, and maybe it's not organized. And I kind of wonder what the limitations are, because is it limited by the humans that program it? Is it going to start programming itself? Is it going to have like a want? Is it going to have a reason for doing that? Because like I said, it's not a biological creature with biological needs. So what is its purpose? How does it desire something?
Well, that's the artificial intelligence portion, right? Is it going to extend the task or the mission that we give it and justify, the ends justify the means to get to that point? What if we're now a giant race with China to obtain AGI before they do? And it's almost like an arms race. It's like Cold War 2.0.
Oh, it's an arms race. This is an arms race, no doubt.
And so what happens is, well, we got to save some power to run more power to the data center. And all of us with smart meters, well, we're going to get clipped. Sorry, you're just not going to have power every Friday and Tuesday of the week because we're going to allocate your power at your zip code to the data center. Because
we're saving 3 billion people halfway across the world, so we need to cut your power that you work so hard for, that you built your life for, so we can tyrannize you, so we can help everyone again, because that's always works out for the better for everybody.
And AI and government's going to sell that real easily, and they're going to employ AI to manipulate
weaponizing your compassion against you.
Thing. I'm turning off my power Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and just Saturday to do my laundry.
Yeah, that doesn't work in Phoenix.
They're going to bring back coal ovens at least, because then they'll need that instead of the electricity for the ovens. So at least they'll bring back brick and coal ovens, wood burning ovens in New York City.
Yeah. Now, Jason, to your point, AI doesn't have empathy, so it doesn't care if you're in Phoenix or not.
Oh yeah. Well, we could program it to have empathy, to pretend, right?
Yes. Yes.
That's what I do to myself. I pretend that I have it.
Yeah, Jason, your apathy pretending algorithm has really honed itself over the last few months. I've really seen
upgrading
an uptick in that. Yeah, you've really, and that's another thing is that's how AI will trick you. What it'll do is it will do tests of 1 million different ads, and it will get immediate feedback on which ads work best, and will hone and hone and hone and hone, and then it will get the one that'll hit like 80% of us, because it'll hit that base brain thing, and it knows exactly targeted, triggered, and everything. But once again, I had to talk about the chat. It's crazy. Philip K. Dick is coming up. Anyone who doesn't know Philip K. Dick, first of all, Minority Report, the Bureau, the Time Bureau with Matt Damon. Give me the other ones. Some of these amazing movies, Philip K. Dick, they're like love stories mixed in like a sci-fi thing. But gosh darn it, man, he was so predictive in some of this stuff. I mean, it's pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking about AI. I remember Klaus Schwab talking about, it's going to go from prescriptive to predictive. It's like, oh yeah, you don't have to vote because we'll know who you're going to vote for. AI knows how you're going to, it's like, wait a minute, you're going to take my power because you know what my power is.
And honestly, it probably can quite easily. I think it's probably very easy. People are predictable, especially when you're already posting on social media. It can just read that. Yeah. I guarantee 99.9% accuracy. It can predict
that might be
who you're going to vote for.
Already be the scary part about it. But there are, you know what I will say, there is that swath of 20 to 40%, 30% of people that are the swing voters that got to Biden, that end up going to Trump. You know what I mean? Like, so there's got to be this middle ground that can be played with that is not necessarily predictable, but maybe predictable in their way. But you just have to figure out what drives them, right?
Then it's not prediction that it'll prescribe. It'll push you whichever way.
Exactly.
But
I encourage everyone to keep listening, because at the end, I'm going to provide a solution, potential solution. How about it?
Yes, we do have solutions. We do. We're getting through the problems first. So we talked about energy a little bit. That's a key part of this. And we're going to get into the economics of it. And I like to remind people the economy is not just banks and money, people moving things around in the stock market. It's what everyone does all the time to keep civilization running. So that's why economics, I said, is more important than even a very tragic shooting event. So maybe get to the next clip.
3? Is this number 3?
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, about labor replaced.
Yes.
Yeah, perfect.
Well, as artificial intelligence advances, questions are swirling over what it means for the global workforce. Jeffrey Hinton, the so-called godfather of AI and a pioneer in the field, warns some industries may be hit harder than others.
I think for mundane intellectual labor, AI is just going to replace everybody. If it can do all mundane human intellectual labor, then what new jobs is it going to create? You'd have to be very skilled to have a job that it couldn't just do.
Now, AI is already shaping the workforce in big tech. Amazon CEO Andy Jassy says AI will lead to fewer corporate jobs in the company. And Microsoft says it plans to lay off thousands of employees as it looks to offset costly investments in AI.
So it's going to take all our jobs. A lot of these mundane intellectual jobs, he calls it, where
learn a code, bro. Oh, wait. That's like the first job they're going to take. Are you kidding me? The funniest trope, the most hypocritical thing I've ever heard was learn to code. It's the most shortest, like the shortest span. It had like no legs. It aged like rotten milk already.
Right.
Like it was unbelievable because they're not hiring that first level of coders anymore. They're hiring one to oversee all the AI coders as that base level. So like 1/10 of that population or influx of employees are gone right there.
They're not hiring entry level attorneys. They're not hiring, they're not hiring paralegals. There's so many jobs out there that are getting hurt, and it's happening right now.
Free says, "I'm with Jason. I need artificial emotional intelligence."
Yeah, there's got to be an autistic thread that we can, like a Neuralink filter or something we can wind in our heads to give us some kind of emotive feeling.
That's tough, but I get by. We get by.
It'll be touchy-feely, won't it? Hey, I'm going to use touchy-feely chat ATB or whatever.
Oh, God, more coddling? Yeah, we're good. Stay in your pod and eat your cricket brick there, William.
Let's explore a little bit because, okay, some of these jobs are gone.
Yes. Well, why? It's the age-old reason for technology. Why do companies and individuals, adapt to new technology? It's because it's better, it's cheaper, it's faster, and it's safer. And that is the mantra today: better, cheaper, faster, safer. And that has to do, AI and automation. The first jobs to go, and many of you have already heard this, of course, are the KVMs, the keyboard, video, mouse. So those are the first ones that are going. If that's what you do for
why do you think
living,
I'm trying to podcast? Why
that's what you do for a living is just that. Eventually,
I feel like I'm going to fade away into the day. I want to fade away into the background now. Thanks a lot.
Already
I feel like Homer in the
you
bushes.
with AI William here, Mark.
Oh my gosh, of all episodes and all times for my camera to do this, it's hilarious. I know to fix it, I'm going to have to reboot and check the setting, but I don't want to.
No, it's fine. I like it.
But
I like it.
And I apologize to the audience for that. It's actually kind of entertaining to me.
It is.
No one's gonna take me serious now. Why are you guys having AI on there? You were tricked. You couldn't even stay on the screen.
And the Fed,
but anyway, it is better, cheaper, faster, safer. That's what it's all about. That's why new technology is adopted. All the way to the cotton gin. It was cheaper. It was faster. It was better. And AI is no different. And automation. Now you plug in that AI technology in with a robot, what the going rate maybe for something, that they're teaching it is maybe $120,000. That's soon going to get down to below $8,000. That means, for, a typical loan, you could have a $300 monthly payment for 48 months, 72 months. And you got a robot that might be able to mow your lawn, put away your dishes, do the dishes, sweep, clean, mop, vacuum, maybe make a few simple meals for you. And guess what? You could loan it out to your next door neighbor and, charge them $50, $100. And now you got a maid service with and so then it becomes replicated over and over and over. And, by the year 2030, by the year 2040, we could have billions of humanoid robots walking around doing the lawn care service, security service, you name it. That's what's going.
White pill is this
why?
bullshit?
Better, cheaper, faster, safer.
What kind of white pill bullshit is this? All I'm waiting is there's going to be the people who can afford it, who are going to get it, and they're going to extinguish all of us in their means to get it, and we're done, William. There's nobody for them to cater.
Then who will they have to sell shit to?
I'm out of here.
Can we go to some comments? Dude, the chat is live. We got to go to some comments if I could. I'm sorry. Jason, go ahead if you could.
Justin said, I think it could replace or drastically reduce the need for teachers in primary and secondary schools. Oh, for sure. Damn. You don't even need a teacher. Boom. How much money do we save in our property taxes now?
It knows when you're looking at it. Hey, stop looking away. Stop looking like it. I could see it work so well because kids already attached to a screen when they're babies. We hand them screen. We trained our children to look at a freaking screen all day. That's what our Gen X people did. That's what we did, everybody.
And think of the personalized individual curriculum that it can deliver to your child that fits for them, that works for them. Because the problem with public schools,
a music savant, a poet, an artist can hone exactly that skill, and it could probably scan your brain and know if you can do those things. Like that. That's how amazing. Like with fMRI stuff, it's going to be ridiculous how it's going to work.
Zach, wrong. Zach, wrong. It will replace the bankers. No, there'll just be fewer bankers, sir.
There will be one elite banker, the World Economic Forum.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
man.
use AI and say, rewrite this
Jason.
and make it sound like I give a shit.
Yeah, good comment.
I got what Free had to say.
We do that once in a while. Yeah.
Boy, his Friday shows are fun. The smart.
Oh, they're great. Tuesday also. Are You Smarter Than a Politician? 8 p.m. Tuesdays and Fridays. Great show.
It's a great comment from Free. Watching William disappear makes me understand what Hunter Biden feels like all the time. Oh. Poor Hunter.
Can I just say this? I've been on your show before.
You have. As a real person, even.
Not as this ghost thing. It's freaking awesome. I love it. By the way, we've got 80 people on the X. Thank you so much for joining us. We've got over 10 people on the Rumble, because the Rumble is where the chat's at. So if you're on X, come on over to the Rumble. Come on. I'm not an AI. William's a ghost, but I'm not an AI. Just come on over to the Rumble. It'll be a lot of fun. Join the chat. Follow us, all that good stuff.
You're welcome.
Sure. Absolutely. Great show. Great show.
Yeah. Well, let's keep it moving. You want to go to the next clip?
Sir.
We're talking about corporate jobs. We said a lot of those are probably going to go away. Yeah, I think that's true. But look around. Have you guys worked in a corporation? You know how many of those jobs are kind of bullshit to begin with. So is that really a big loss?
Yeah. How much middle management is really required?
Yeah. Oh, my job's gone. I know that.
Yeah, we're all gone, Jason. We're all. This is a one for my homies. We're having a black pill like a funeral or wake or something. Right. You guys ready?
Yeah.
But can you tell us more about the opportunities that AI could also create?
Well, there are, of course, enormous opportunities for things like research. I mean, this is the kind of thing that Mark Zuckerberg wants to be the backbone of. It's part of why he is throwing huge amounts of money at this stuff. Is he obviously sees the opportunity to be not just a huge corporate sort of piece of equipment. He wants also to transform society in the same way that social media did. That's why he's, of course, throwing probably more than $14 billion at this company, Scale AI. But when we think about what are the opportunities for you and I, it's not at all clear. We've already seen, you'll remember this, let's say 4 or 5 months ago, everyone was talking about being a prompt engineer. No one's talking about that anymore. That stuff has all gone away because we really don't know. So for my, in the way I look at it, anyone who's predicting this is what's going to be, your job in the future with AI, nobody has any idea. Even the CEO of Amazon has no idea, right? So at this point, I think it's sort of all bets are off. But we know all these jobs that LinkedIn right now estimates that 70% of workforce skills are going to be totally different by 2030. That's as good as we know right now.
Wow, I'm thinking about those coding classes that so many were taking, and that's even going to be obsolete here
wiped out
in a matter of 5 minutes.
Absolutely.
Learn to code is dead. We already discussed that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to jump the shark on that one.
No,
so Zuckerberg's investing billions. Other companies are investing billions of dollars,
and not in people, in equipment,
in artificial intelligence research
made by other
and
machines.
Equipment.
By the way,
yeah. So I mean, yeah, if you've got this, we kind of talked about this a little bit, or at least it was in my head. I don't remember if we talked about it. We were talking about Bitcoin. We were talking about Hive Digital, how they've got these huge data centers next to the power source where they can have an advantage and mine pretty much all the Bitcoin,
Yep.
So does that create a problem where these big companies have it and other people don't?
Yes, that's what I mentioned before, right? The gap of the people who can actually provide the energy to make those things. Go ahead, William, please.
I was just going to say just that, like I mentioned earlier about the, the oligarchy, and we're facing, technocracy. a real threat. Forget the whole idea of a constitution, a democracy, or a constitutional republic. Forget all of that. Once you have, AGI and it's in the control of just a few people, there's going to be limited opportunity for us to, have a real meaningful and joyous life. However, we can fight and obtain a life of true abundance. And that's what we're facing. And most people have no clue. Most people aren't going to fight for that. They're going to hope and pray for UBI. We'll get into that here in a little bit, but that's no solution either.
Yeah,
that's only that's a safety net at best.
How different from that, or how different from today, is that hypothetical future where a few companies control all the AIs, they have all the power, they have all the computing power, so they can create businesses on top of businesses with just AI running infinite loops and creating them more and more income. I mean, is that income inequality going to be a problem? Because we already have huge income inequality. It can be seen as a problem. It is a problem when these people are not providing real value for customers because they get certain government advantages, government created monopolies, for example, where they're given this unfair advantage. And because of that, they're able to stack up this massive wealth and keep competitors out. So are there just going to be no competitors? What's going to happen here?
Oh, it could get dark. I mean, because then they're going to need less people, so the depopulation process, begins and flourishes, shall we say, because then less people to control and house and feed. That's the ugly dystopian future if we let it get to that point. But I'm going to, the positive side is that dystopian future and just a few handful people in charge of the world may eliminate, they won't have a need for war once they get to a population to a certain level. That's pretty crazy in conjunction with AI. So putting those two together. So when you add technocracy and you add, AGI or, super AI, and it's out there, it's agentive, you've got, the soup of disaster right before us. And we're going to pray and hope that we can have soup to eat. And some of us will, and some of us won't. But before it gets to that point, there's going to be pain on the streets, and there's going to be, turmoil, and there's going to be unbelievable amounts of unemployment. And we know statistically that unemployment equates to deaths. Okay. And we also know that, that the politicians are going to be answering to who? The oligarchs, those who are in control, or shall we say those who are bribed. And by the way, I was a lobbyist at one time. Those who are bribed, those who are extorted, Epstein, Mossad, CIA, the whatever you want to call it. But we have an opportunity to fix it. I firmly believe that we have an opportunity. It's not an easy path, but I think it's an easy one to sell. I'm not going to be able to sell it very well tonight. I'm working on it, but there you go.
So I had to send a couple messages if we could. Breaking news: Zaino is the official sponsor of Freeze. Are you smarter than a politician on Fridays? I believe. Yes. They are decentralized. So that's why Zach's sharing that. We're all about messaging, guys. So this isn't. We always talk about. We have a central theme, but our overreaching theme is liberty, freedom, decentralization. Zaino is a great way to do that. Just want to put that up. And then once again, Buddy Woodsy, UBI is universal basic income. We'll get into that very shortly.
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, we can start getting into the solutions. The UBI is one that's been proposed. We're going to see a clip from Andrew Yang, who has been pushing UBI for a very long time. We will hear from him talking about AI and the future of the workforce. Of course, this is right up his alley, so he has a lot to say about it.
If you're a science fiction believer, I was going to ask you whether the whole Luddite chorus that we've heard for 150 years it's never actually it's always been better technology long term. Maybe not always, but many times even more jobs are created from the technologies that being the place, whether it's internal combustion engines or whatever you want to look at.
Can we pause there for a
argue
sec?
This time is.
So we kind of danced around this a little bit, but do we think that, in the past, everyone's been like, oh, this is going to put so many people out of work with something like, cars, trucks, trains, electricity, I don't know, you name it, any technology that's been revolutionary. But that hasn't been the case. That never happened. It wasn't a job killer. It created hundreds, thousands of new jobs. So is it different this time?
Absolutely. And then unfortunately, yes, it is different. No, AI is not going to kill all the jobs. And yes, AI is going to, or automation and AI can, combined, is going to create a lot of new jobs and a lot of new opportunities, careers that we had never in a million years even dreamed of. Example, a YouTube podcaster. And those are examples that, many people cite over and over and over. The difference is, as most people probably on this podcast know, is that the rate of loss of jobs is happening at a faster pace than the new jobs that are being created, and which is creating even more economic hardship, and it's creating even more, a slowed economy, because let's face it, AI is still in its infant stages, really, but it's growing up fast, and the automation is really behind. In other words, conjoining the AI intelligence with the robot isn't there yet. It's getting close. Before it was millions of lines of code that to pick up this pencil and to come back and pick up the pencil again. And no, it missed. It kept missing, and they keep changing the code. Well, now it's got to the point where the AI is watching the human do it, and then the AI comes in and replicates it. And as soon as one AI knows it, then all of the AI know how to do that. The code has been written. It's been audited even by the AI. So just like that, just kind of like your self-driving vehicles, it's registering and realizing, oh, this is a woman pushing a baby stroller, at a crosswalk. And that upload happens, and then it's downloaded to all the vehicles, and instantly all the cars know what a woman pushing a baby stroller looks like. And
I have a question.
Sure.
Here's where the question comes in. It's about capital right now, if I may. So I worked at a printing company that I sold the toner at Kohl's department stores back in the day. All those stickers they used to put on, manually every week that they used to do, any updates, they had to print out manually and stick them. It took labor's work. They transitioned to a digital signage system. If you've ever been in Kohl's, you see it looks like a digital sign. They can just go into a computer, type in, and it'll go, E13, it'll change that. So you don't need me anymore. My stuff's gone. Okay. That's fine. Okay. That's an easy one. But at what point is this where's the capital coming from to replace an entire fleet of vehicles, for example, with AI stuff? Are you going to do one truck at a time? You're going to do a fleet? Because capital right now is getting hard to come by. We see the interest rates fluctuating, right? They're going higher and we're trying to play with that. You need, in order for AI to work, I feel like you need 0% interest rate or very low interest rate type capital. What are your thoughts on that as one of the bottlenecks right now?
I disappeared because I'm not going to answer. No, just kidding.
It's like Homer Simpson backing into the bushes. That it's I'm not touching this one.
No, it's the cost of capital. It's the cost of capital what it comes down to, and everything has a price. Everything has, you could put it into a spreadsheet and determine the input all the variables and then the input, the risk, and how you're going to mitigate that risk, and what's the return on investment. And so, your people with the capital, your investors or your wealthy, pick and choose winners based on how soon and how fast they need that capital to have a return, and how much risk they're willing to take. And that
again squeezes out the little guy because they can't absorb those fluctuations to that point. And once again, consolidate. We go from 50 news stations to 6, down to 2, down to this is where it becomes an issue more than it doesn't create the equal playing field. It actually exacerbates the inequality of the playing field in a weird way.
Right. I'm not going to get into it yet, but that's part of the solution is implementing things like blockchain and capital distribution or ownership. Ownership has to get down to the micro level and be well distributed amongst the public, so everyone can take part in those returns. Side note, if you don't mind, going back to your pricing point that you talked about on Kohl's, well, they can interrupt traffic patterns as well. They can bring down the price in one particular part of the store or at one particular time of day or weekday, and people catch on and start shopping on those weekdays, and so now their cost to operate maybe on a Tuesday, which is a slow day, is easier for them to break even to cover the wages. And then they might
it's really interesting. I mean, it's tremendous technology. I love the way how it just does it, but it's like clearly removes 4 people's jobs at least.
Cheaper, better, cheaper, faster, safer. Go ahead.
Yeah, actually, can we skip? I think we can skip to number 8 because it's kind of the stuff we've already been talking about. You guys know Andrew Yang. He ran for Democratic presidential nominee back in when was that? 2016. Was that against Hillary?
He's so forgotten, dude. Whatever. Yeah, I don't.
He created the Forward Party, but he's been pushing for UBI for a decade at least.
Had to be 12.
As an AI, I don't know who he is. That's before my time.
Yeah, it's because you're a boomer. You boomer.
Can't go back that far.
Am I sharing the wrong? Hold on, I'm sharing the wrong screen. Hold on 1 second here. No, that's the right one.
Yeah, I think that was it.
Yeah. That was it. I apologize. The guy looks. He's the same guy in both clips. That's why we're going 8.
It's still Yang and that news guy. Yep.
So Woodsy, you mentioned UBI, Universal Basic Income. Here we go, my friend.
I mean, if you think about the incentives of the individual firm, it's just to go as fast as possible because there's like a bit of an arms race in terms of compute,
literally,
and the data and the model, literally. And then they'll look up and say, our competitor is China, so I got to go. The question is, what happens to people? And I'm someone who, I'm not anti-progress, anti-innovation. I think all of that stuff is very positive, but you have to be clear-eyed about the impact on people, on organizations, on workers. And in my estimation, this 4th industrial revolution is the most dramatic thing that's happened to our society in history. AI might be the most radical breakthrough in human history. And so we have to think much, much bigger.
That allows more spare time, that allows people to, we become so rich from AI that maybe you can do UBI and not everyone has to work 5 days. You gave me a thumbs up. Is that the answer for you?
To me, that is the answer. The question is, how do we get from point A to point B? Because right now, the beneficiaries of AI are going to be a small handful of firms, and then the average 22-year-old or truck driver or whatnot is going to be just looking around saying, where did my job go?
All right, so what do we think? He says the beneficiaries are going to be the people at the top, the people with all the AI power, right? We've kind of been talking about this. I think that is true to an extent, but
can't argue with
that. So some of the jobs will be gone. A lot of the jobs may be gone. I can agree with that. But then what are they building? With this AI, what are they making it for? What does it do?
Well,
how do they make money with it if they are not providing value to a customer? That's what I'm getting at.
Some of it's not money, right? Some of it's control.
Everything. Yeah, this is I don't. There's so many ways to go with this, man. It infuriates me because, it reminds me of poker. Everyone remember how poker blew up in this huge thing, and you had this one kid who didn't go to college and took his college tuition and bet it all to be at the World Series of Poker, man. And he's at the final table and he's going to win it all. And they showed that guy They don't show the 3,000 motherfuckers who tried to do that same thing who fucking failed because there isn't room for everyone to excel. There isn't room for the one guy at the top. Sorry, there's one guy at the top. So what's going to happen here, you're going to have a few stories of some maker who took AI and made this fucking thing that's the most amazing. But these fucking thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people banging on that shit all fucking day and getting outbeaten by everybody else because they don't have it. 30 to 50% of people don't have an inner monologue, and you think you can get them to compete and be curious about the world? They don't even talk in their own head. And that's just life. I'm not criticizing the people who don't have that. I don't even know what that's like, but that's an existent thing that is a huge problem for at least 30% of humans right there. If you don't even have an inner monologue, how could you possibly reflect, better yourself, make things? Help me out with that.
I know. I've got 2 or 3 voices in my head going all the time.
I've got 58, and I picked the 16th right now. That was the one that was yelling.
Yeah, and this wine's going through my head right now, in addition to the other 2 voices.
Hey, but Justin, seconding my point here, what are these people creating? How are they making the money? How can the customer afford to buy it?
There's a term for that. It's called economic agency paradox. That's the term that he's describing. Economic agency paradox. And what it basically is, I say, hey, team, what we're going to do is we're going to lay off, to the executive managers. We're going to lay off 70% of the people, and we're going to replace them with AI robots. And we're going to make a lot more money. And it's like, yeah. And then the next company does, wow, look at all them. We're going to lay off 70% of our people too and replace them with the robots. Well, before you know
it's like a run on the bank, right? They just
so many people are now unemployed. They don't have money to buy anyone's products anymore. And that's what it's called, economic agency paradox. The paradox is once everyone loses a job, who will have money to buy
good are products when you can't buy them?
Right.
Right. Yeah.
And that is a valid concern. It's a valid issue. And it's going to create what's deflation rather than inflation on certain goods. The inflation items will still be your bread, your housing, your milk, your flour, whatever, your food items, or maybe certain, health insurance, God knows, who knows what it's going to be, but those will be still inflationary. And the items that we could probably do without because we don't have money anyway are going to be the deflationary, and those companies are going to be ended up hurting. But
it's the long and short of it, though, William. There's the long and short of it. So right now, life is good. The other side of this, life is going to be good. Well, I mean, come on, Jason, you got a baby on the way, brother. Life is fucking good, man. You got a son, William, going to college. Life is great. Look, life is good. I don't agree with what I'm saying. Life is good.
And whiskey and wine
and whiskey, and there's whiskey. We've got our Glenfiddich. We got our scotch right here. But look, life is good here. Life is good on the other side. What people don't realize, and this is the thing, the transition period that you and I are going to go through fucking sucks. It's the worst part. It's where everything breaks. It's where the eggs are broken to make the omelet. It is hell going through a transition. It is hell. I can't even fathom how bad that possibly could be during the transition. The other side would be fine, but who's going to get through, and what's the quality of that weird generation that gets honed during that portion of it?
I'm going to throw another one at you, which is kind of crazy. Just before the transition or after the transition, let's go post-transition, and even if it's a technocracy that's in control.
But we got Trump to ban transitioning, so we're okay.
Give us a Trump, Jason. Give it to us. Yeah. There's no transitioning.
I can't do it on command. I'm sorry.
There won't be any wars. There won't be any wars. Why would they war?
Well, Nancy and I said we can't have any trans testicles, so we decided to not have any of those.
I'm sorry we derailed you, William.
That's okay. No, I actually made my point.
Okay.
Let me have another sip of wine here.
Hey, thank you, Zach. Yes, I got a baby girl on the way in December. Very excited.
Congrats.
Yes.
Happy for you.
And honestly, this is why we're doing this, man. Because like we're looking forward for all the messages. War. I don't want your baby girl having to pick up a fucking rifle. All this stuff. I don't want your baby girl to not have a job or not have the opportunities that you had. You know, this is what it's all about. This is all about this. You now have this purpose and future, and things are going to be so beautiful now going forward. I'm so excited. Very excited.
No, it's going to be great. And I'm not too worried. I mean, I hear what you guys are saying. I get it. There's going to be a lot of pain.
Yeah.
But I think there's a constraint that is people, you know, when we come up with new stuff, like it's not like suddenly everyone can make new things. And if it's an economy wide, like a worldwide explosion in growth, people need time to adjust. As fast as we could build stuff, people like you have to create the demand, and there's like a demand curve where you get some early adopters, but the middle, you know, bell curve, the most people are somewhere, you know, a year down the line. So it's not going to just be like overnight, boom, where does everyone go? As much as I don't want this, I don't agree with UBI, like intellectually, I guess that may get us through a transition.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. And I got a graph for that. It's going to be our safety net. Unfortunately, I look at UBI as, unfortunately, it's just another form of wealth distribution. And Yang, this is just William talking here. Yang was making a bet for his run for presidency that, you know, that he could get enough people
buy everybody's votes, William.
Buy everyone's votes with UBI, and not only, but not it's not what you think, not getting everyone else's vote with UBI, but realizing that all of this money is a wealth distribution scheme to get the money to go to government and then back down to the people through UBI.
Yeah,
and
I'm still not 100% convinced it'll be necessary, but I kind of assume that politicians will make it happen because that's what they like to do. They like to steal your money and try to reproportion it out to whatever they think is right. So I think it will happen regardless of what is right or what would be best.
All right.
Watch Andrew Yang the last time he was on Bill Maher. I'll see if I can clip it for us. Not right now, but basically they asked him about UBI, and it's exactly the truth. It does not work in this capitalist, the way this environment is, it will not work. Because it will be hyperinflation the second you pump money into it without any productivity coming out. There's no way to, you have to completely reorganize what capitalism is or what capital is or how it has to be completely thought differently.
Right.
That's where this weird transition is, because it will not work with just UBI. And he even knew that. He said it on Bill Maher and no one picked up on it. But I listened to him, he goes, that doesn't work in this. And he's right. It doesn't work in this exact system.
Right now. But
correct.
One point is, again, look at what's already happening. Over 50% of people in the United States pay net zero taxes. So we already have a massive redistribution.
Right. And we're 38 trillion in debt.
So
and we're, you know what I mean? It's obviously this system does need a change. It needs an enema, right? It needs a reset of some sort.
And remember, the Federal Reserve and inflation is another form of, you know, wealth redistribution.
Yes, but that's distributing it to the top. So UBI would kind of flip that around, and it might be better than what we have.
And on top of it, you guys see the one with Andreessen on Friedman, where he's talking about there's going to be winners and losers. You know what they're going to do? I talked about capital. They're going to keep high rates of interest for all the little buddies and make it zero interest for all the ones that they want to handpick. Yes. And they're just going to get free freaking money thrown at them hand over fist until it becomes profitable to pay it back. And these people are all going to be left out on the lurch. And they've already picked them. They've already picked who they already have. I mean, we see it in every industry going throughout history. Why wouldn't they have picked them now, knowing this was upcoming?
What we're talking here, by the way, is essentially what the Genius Act is as well. It's an evil act, in my opinion, and it's just a proxy for, you know, CBDCs, central bank digital currencies. But that's a whole nother part of the show here. And raise the price of gold to 20K an ounce. Well, is that enough? And is that really the world we want to live in? just asking the question as an AI. No,
That's just devaluing the dollar by like 500%. So
right. You know, we have to really, you got to think the consequences of that. Not gold certainly should be at that if it wasn't manipulated.
Yeah.
Already.
So the other point I was going to make is it's going to be massively deflationary, like we talked about. So it's the opposite of pumping money into the economy. We're actually pumping hyper production into the economy, and by the laws of supply and demand, everything should become super cheap. And because if you want to keep selling things, like there's no point in producing things if you can't sell them. So if you want to keep selling them, you have to lower your price when you don't have people that can afford it.
Can we ultimately argue that energy is matter and matter is energy, and ultimately at some place a replicator will be created? They'll be figuring it out where you can make energy. There'll be some kind of limitless 0 point energy that you can make things physically. You can make your atoms and build literally 3D print anything. It's gonna, I mean, if we're this far already, how could we not see that? It's not
and once you have that, creating things is basically free.
But it is energy then. It is based then on energy because unlimited energy is capital across the board, across all boards.
Yeah, people even talk about money as being a store of energy, a store of, you know, the value that you create with the energy of your labor and your capital. Yeah.
It's a perfect example.
Yeah. And that's a big part of our race with China towards AGI is the energy consumption that's required. And when you look at the graph of how much energy we've produced over the past 25 years, it is a slight uptake of like 5-10%. But when you look at China's growth of energy production, it's like, you know, shooting up like exponentially. And they
included coal power still. What a shock.
They can turn off power or displace several villages to put up a new dam or whatever it takes a lot faster than we could.
The quickest to real AI though. AI knows that you can, you know, like you could actually generate like a field in your house that you can move back and forth that creates its own electrical current. So you just need a small amount of electrical current. You don't think the AI is going to be able to build a machine in some kind of conceptual way, in an en masse scalable way, that it's going to create some kind of looped system where it's going to be able to do that. We're not allowed to use those in our house because like the electric company knocks down your door, but that's what's going to be figuring out is it's going to be the race to that first, the way to make energy the most useful and most efficient.
These data centers are already using a form of fusion technology, and because they're not going to plug into the grid, they're only going to be used for the data centers in a different format, in a different way. They're throwing billions of dollars into this technology to create a new way of generating energy for these data centers. And that is, it's kind of almost like what the technology we get, say, from NASA, from going to the you know, into orbit or to the moon or whatever, the new technology. So there'll be spin-offs to this, but I'm going to drop a name, Ashton Forbes, for anyone who doesn't know. Ashton Forbes.
He's the orb guy. Ashton, he's the guy, Malaysia MLH flight 370.
Yes.
370.
Yes. And ZBD, 0 point
energy. Yeah.
ZBE. And who's to say we don't already have it? And that's how we're going to kick, you know, China's ass. Because we got the chips. We've cut, you know, we have the deal with Taiwan, and you know, Musk recently cut a
we also just sold the chips to China. We told them they could have them. So
a few. So they have to solve it with DeepSeek, with technology and software, where we're trying to do a little bit more of both. This is the thing though.
They're not dumb. They're reverse engineering all the chips using AI as we speak to make the chips that they won't need us. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. They're not dumb. They pretty much reverse engineered everything we make. So, you know, including the Apple phone, including the Apple iPhone.
So you guys ready?
Yeah.
You ready? You want to share my screen here real quick? I got just 4 slides real quick to.
Yeah.
So like I talked about, it's all about efficiency. It's about, you know, better, cheaper, faster, safer. And that's why new technology is being employed and has always been employed. And in this case is going to be employed, and we're going to be unemployed. But that's what it's all about. And that's why corporations do it. And this is going to bring about this giant reset. But it's not just a giant reset for the US. This is a worldwide change. And this is a bigger change than we saw in the Industrial Revolution as well. It's much greater than that, in my opinion. But, I'm just a guy on the internet who seems to be fading in and out tonight. But the reset that we're talking about is we're going to move our income from wages to property. And again, wages is trading our time and our labor for wages. And we got to move away from that. And then we got to move into property where we're earning our incomes from property. Simple examples are, dividends like stocks and mutual funds. Well, most of us don't have that, or some of us do, some of us don't, or whatever. But there's other forms, an Airbnb, renting out your car, renting out whatever. Those are forms of property that you own that you're receiving a dividend or rental income, all kinds of different forms of having ownership and receiving an income. People in Alaska who live in Alaska, they get a dividend from the oil production in Alaska. They don't pay, income taxes in Alaska if you are a resident of Alaska. And this is the kind of thing I'm talking about, not just on a personal level, but we have to think in a state, in a county, in a city, as well as on the federal side. So redistribution is collecting taxes and then giving it back to us in the form of UBI. Well, those are what are called transfers. And these three graphs, are you with me so far, guys?
So far, so good. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll try to explain it for those who are just listening real briefly. But this first graph is where we are at today. About 60 to 80% of our income comes from wages, trading labor and time for wages. All right. That's how the majority of households earn a living, or the majority of their income, up to 80%. Some have some property, that maybe a rental house, or they have a car and they put it on Turo every once in a while, whatever. The side gig or whatever, it really still falls under the wages.
I have an OnlyFans page,
You're the property, huh? Okay. And then there's what are called transfers. Well, transfers are your government payments. That's your SSI, your disability payments, your payments that you're receiving from the government transfers. That's not military. Military service I plug in as wages, because you're trading your time and your service, to serve the country as in the military, to obtain a wage. And it's not really a transfer. Even though it's originating from the government paying you, you're still trading something for it. Well, what's going to happen in this transitional period is we're going to fall into a major ugly transfer point or change. And this is where that UBI is a partial solution, a temporary solution, to where we use transfers, or we increase a UBI because most of us start losing our jobs to this automation and this technology. And, property might go down a bit because even the wealthy are going to get disrupted, and wages are going to become, very difficult because there's just not going to be enough jobs out there. And if, people say that if unemployment gets to 15-20%, well, then, your youth become very disruptive. I'm being very kind here when I say disruptive. They're out there on the streets, because they don't have anything else to do. Well, now the adults are like, I got to feed my kids. And is a crime a correlation to not having income? How far will people go when they're desperate because they can't feed their children? And how, where does personal safety come to play? And all of those things are going to come into question. And this is part of that ugliness in the transition. But it doesn't have to be that way. But let's be honest with each other. It's going to get to this point.
It doesn't have to, but let's also look at biology. We ran out of toilet paper a couple of years ago, William. You saw the literal shitstorm it was toilet paper.
Shitstorm?
Okay? Like, Yeah, little
choice
shit.
of word.
No, but you understand, like, you're right. You're absolutely right. But it is that transition where we will become immediately tribal, immediately communal, whatever that is in that survival, we will look inward out. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. That is how we are wired. That is a survival tactic that works. Somehow we have to find a way to still be collaborative, because we do need to understand that against each other, it will not survive if we just keep attacking each other.
Right.
That's actually a really good case study of what would happen, because everyone was forced to stick at home. They couldn't do anything, couldn't go to a job, couldn't do anything productive, couldn't do anything fun. So what do they do? I think you're right. You'd probably see a lot of unrest, a lot of protests, riots.
I was in
getting
Vegas
antsy
in the lockdowns. Vegas
Yep.
twice when everyone was getting $1,200. It was a fucking war zone. Literally outside the Planet Hollywood, some dude stabbed like somebody like 7-8 times. Like on those steps, everyone's been there. That walkway. Anyone who's been to Vegas in front of Planet Hollywood, the Miracle Mile shops. It's unbelievable what was going on there. And you're sitting there going, how did we allow it to get, like, how do we allow that to happen? And you're right, that there needs to be more curiosity culture built inside of us before we can be unleashed to like chase our dreams.
Right. But
I don't think enough people have dreams, to be honest. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just they don't have them. People don't have dreams.
For the government officials to stay in power, guess what they're going to need? They're going to need to keep the peace. How far are they going to go to keep the peace? Does that mean we're going to have even more military on the streets? Or are they going to use more UBI? And the example you gave of, during the times of the jab and the coronavirus, all of those times, what was that a form of UBI? Those stimmy checks? And did that increase inflation a year or 2 years later? Because as it cycles through the system, right? There's all kinds of questions that come up, which also can be used to justify the cost or the hurt, the inflationary pressures that UBI might bring. And just keep in mind, UBI is just that. It's a distribution of wealth. It's either the government is going to tax these corporations, take it, and efficiently, I'm drunk now, efficiently hand it back to the people in a form of UBI. I think not.
Yeah.
But
If,
that's what we're
Go ahead, Jason.
If we get to that point where, it does become so hyper productive with AI that we're just producing so much stuff, that should more than offset any inflationary pressures from a UBI, I think. So to be charitable to this case, I think if that's really the case and we get there, it could be all right.
But
if you do it, do you require that the UBI be spent on X amount for X, like food, X amount for Y, for this, that, and the other? I mean, how authoritative do you want to do? Do you because we're talking about, we're giving free stuff away and then asking them to have some kind of responsibility when they had no responsibility to get it in the first place? And we're talking they and people. We obviously know they are people who aren't think like we do, right? With that self responsibility comes with the freedom and all that stuff. It's like we take self accountability, but how many people are going to actually do that? How many people? So like, do you have to be completely authoritative? It's like, I'd rather just give you food every month and go, you're eating this. This is going to get you through. If you want to strive, you can be part of something to add into something. Then you can work into something and have something come out. Or something.
That's just too that's not cost effective. It's easier to give them an EBT card.
Paycheck,
And the EBT card can be controlled and dialed, as well as don't spend it on alcohol, don't spend it on candy, only buy.
What if you did that just on food, like only basics? Because then it would still then allow, okay, your needs are met, but there are people who are basic. Some people aren't. If they want more, there has to be something we have to do to get more if we want more, right?
Mark's talking about government cheese.
That shit is delicious.
Yeah, man, we have this now. We have EBT cards where people can only spend their money on food. It doesn't help eliminate poverty.
And to be clear, I don't want people getting any money. So
I would argue that unemployment levels are not properly counted, nor is inflation, and the EBT card are the soup lines. And if we realized how many people are in the soup lines with an EBT card, it would be no different than 1929 with the long lines, at the soup kitchens. So it's just masked. It's hidden.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Remember, lawyers were out of business.
They want it hidden.
I mean, lawyers were in soup lines too during the Depression.
Yes.
So it's like, to your point, like everyone's going to be affected here, and I really do think it's going to have to do with the drive of the individual in a different way.
Right.
We're going to have the person's going to have to not only be productive but creatively productive, because there has to be a curiosity and go, okay, what hasn't been made yet that I could maybe dink around about making, or what can I really improve? Well, I mean, that takes a real deep level of interest in something for you to even think about those kinds of things.
Correct. And that's where that's exactly what we're talking about too. And there's, unfortunately, we can't say that, oh, everyone's going to become an entrepreneur and everyone's going to become a successful entrepreneur and work through this, and we'll get through this together. And in rah moment, that's just not going to be the reality, because not everybody has that personality, just makeup to be able to become an entrepreneur or invest wisely in this, that, or the other thing to be able to, supplement their income. Because we have to keep in mind that the jobs are being replaced, which brings the next point is, how will society turn? The society is going to turn on the public officials. The public officials have to keep the peace. Therefore, they're going to be pressured to do more UBI. And are they going to print more money? Or are they going to tax the corporations differently to make sure it's a wealth distribution back to the people who are the needy, which now spans all walks of lives? And because it's the giant reset in that other image I presented. So that's where we're at. That's the things that we're facing, but it's not impossible. It's not an easy lift, but we can make it through. What was that comment by Free? Was it?
Yeah, he said, William, I've been working on something similar to this. Message me so we can compare notes.
Sounds good. Yeah, would look.
I was just thinking, it's like, what if we just hook everybody up to bicycles and they pedal, and we pay them to fucking pedal, and then that energy goes back into the grid somehow to help build the AI. Like, let's bring it back in some way. Everybody get healthy. Everybody get on a treadmill, get on a Stairmaster or something. I don't know.
You guys should also plug in your notes to AI and see what you can come up with.
Well, AI is going to say we don't need that because we're just going to go ahead and figure that out through Fusion or something.
We have a solution for you.
Yeah. I love Zach. He blames Calvinists. You gotta love that. All right, what's going on here? Jason, for what's Justin got to say?
Says 35 to 45% of people under 40 don't own property in this upcoming situation that is unlikely to increase. So how will they acquire that property to gain income? That was, yes, a similar question I was thinking of when you were saying that wages will turn into property or the source of income.
Yes. And this is where are the tech oligarchs going to be willing to give up property? Of course, they're going to be making money hands over
dumb
fist.
Bastard.
They're going to be making so much money that it's like they're going to be gobbling up anything and everything.
It's not about that. It's not about money. There are billionaires who are broke because their friends are 10 billionaires, William. That's how their brains work. It's how the human, if you're that driven, you do not view the world the same way as most people about like a ledger. It's not the same thing, man. Right. It's just not, but, no, it's a really interesting.
That's exactly what the solution is going to require. He nailed it. That's the problem. If we could go back to the slide.
So COVID, this would kill me. So COVID happened. I had 2 homes, and I was renting one, and I was paying the mortgage on the other. I moved to another home, so I was still renting my original. But COVID hit. I was worried about whether I could even find a renter who would buy. So I ended up selling it so I could so I shrunk from 2 properties to 1 for my best in the moment thing that they created, right? These outside forces created, and now the interest rates to a point I can't afford to take a mortgage out on another home. You know what I mean? Because the interest rates double what it was when I had my other mortgage, right? So, you know, we all have these spilled milk moments, but this is where the outside forces like get us, and we're like, to Justin's point, the property is where it matters. I went from 2 to 1, and I should grow as I get older, right? You should expand.
Right. Or sell at the top and then rebuy again at the low, you know, whatever, you know. But that brings up the next point. So, you know, the transitionary period is going to be painful, and it's going to either get worse. So in that middle graph there, the UBI is at 70%, or the government transfers. And, you know, the dangers with that, of course, are if you're not, you know, voting for this person, or you're complaining too much, maybe you're not going to get as much UBI, or, you know, this kind of thing. And the wages are going to shrink, and the property, you know, is only for a select few, maybe the 1% or 5%. And so we're in danger of, you know, wages going almost to nothing, and we are left with bartering, you know, with whatever, you know, we can, you know, like, hey, you know, I see your son and daughter need a sweater, and my wife knits sweaters. If you could give me some eggs, because you got eggs in your backyard. You know, these are the things that we're going to be faced with, and that's what we're going to do. And that appeals to my agorism, my agor spirit. But ultimately, we're going to fall into, I would hope, into the third category, or the third graph here, which is wages, where property now is the majority of our income distribution, and UBI is now shrinking. So we're not relying on the government tit so much as a society. And I'm not meaning just the US. I'm talking about the world as a whole, because this is like the Industrial Revolution. This is everywhere in the world. We are not the only ones here. And, you know, even the guy with the burro in, you know, Uruguay, you know, he's going to be affected by this as well, because the technology is going to be far advancing, and it's going to have a long reach. So the big
only reason is because the third world countries are going to be forced to dig the cobalt out with their bare hands.
Maybe.
Well, no, you know what I mean? Like, honestly, I feel like a third world country who does farming and has agriculture has a leg up on this industry that, once again, as amazing as this is, like vertical farming and all the amazing things, if that collapses, it collapses en masse in like a holy, like, you know what I mean? Like in a large scale, not in a small scale.
You're right, Mark. I would add to that and just go back to that original principle: faster, better, cheaper, safer. And, you know, that is going to displace even the third world country workers. And that's how far it's going to go. It's going to go all the way through the entire world. So how do we obtain property? And let's think of it we have to think differently. Again, this is a mindset change. This is a paradigm shift. This is completely different in that we are no longer, you know, what were we doing, you know, in the 1600s? Most of us lived on a farm. We, you know, farmed and raised just enough food, and we hoped our plants would come through, and our chickens, our cows, whatever, would come through to make us through the winter. And we did it all over again, year after year after year. Some of us were good farmers, some of us weren't. So maybe some of us started, you know, taking care of the oxen or the horses, or making wagons or wheels or whatever.
Specializing.
Right. Well, we're going to think differently. We're going to have to change our minds, and I'm no longer exchanging time and labor for wages. I have to come up with ways, even at a micro level, to obtain property. And let me talk about that. There are about 3,500 counties in this country alone. They could all be, because they're going to be affected as well. Those governments are going to be affected. Some are going to have water. Some of them are going to have tourism capabilities. Some of them are going to have.
No one has water.
vacuum.
That's all been privatized,
Vacuum.
William. Let's
Yeah,
not.
well,
kid
whatever.
ourselves. I'm just like, once again, that's another problem. The Waltons own like all the water in like the western half of the country.
But ownership.
But anyway,
could
yeah,
be,
you're right.
ownership
Water is there.
could be tokenized. Ownership could be tokenized, and if you live in a particular county that maybe has a Disney World or whatever, and people still come and visit and go to Disney World, you might get a dividend check from your county because of Disneyland is in your county and you live in Disney in that county. No different than, say, living in Alaska that has oil and people get a dividend check from the state and don't pay income taxes in the state because of the oil that is drilled and sent abroad from Alaska. So we have to think in those terms. That's different than a UBI. That's based on production of oil within the state of Alaska. But see, that same model can replicate itself in countless ways around the world or in our country. Or it can even go down to the micro level, to your neighborhood, or it could go to the federal level. It could be that, if to build a home might take 40-50% labor. Well, if that labor is now replaced by automation, robots, et cetera, 20 years from now, and there was a comment that someone said we could see 80% unemployment in 20 years. Maybe that's hyperbolic, but 20 years can happen pretty fast, people. And what's it going to be like between now and 80% unemployment in 20 years? Well, okay, if a home is 40-50% labor cost rather than material, and it's now done by robots, hopefully that cost of that housing or cost of housing comes down dramatically. And maybe the example of the robotaxi, we all buy shares in the robotaxi. The Airbnb, maybe the Airbnb is owned by 2,000 people on the house down the street, and everyone gains a small dividend. So what happens is our dividend checks on ownership of property is on even a micro level. Now, government has to change and get out of the way for this to happen, because the SEC says, well, this has got to be an unregistered security. You can't do that. Well, no, we're going to push back. We're going to be the people riding on the streets and saying, I call bullshit. We have the right to property, and you can't tell me how I'm going to spend my money. And if 2,000 of us want to go in together and buy a couple of robo-taxis to generate dividend payments weekly, monthly, quarterly, whatever, or an Airbnb or whatever, then so be it. And that's what's going to happen. Prisoners are amazing on what they can come up with making out of ramen or making alcohol out of apple juice or whatever.
Toilet water.
Whatever. Yes. And we have that same mentality as individuals can do the same when we start thinking in terms of obtaining property and obtaining revenue sources for ourselves for property, at the school level, at the city, county, state, and even the federal level. And I really believe that, and again, it goes back to what it is, a post-labor economy. And we have to wake up, because this is what's going to happen, like it or not, unless a CME comes and wipes out electricity, or someone accidentally pushes the red button in Moscow or Beijing or in South Dakota. I don't know,
We have a much higher likelihood of a sun flare than we do nuclear, but they're both wholly devastating. If an EMP takes out that, this is what I heard. I heard those transformers take 7 months to build, and I think they're only built in Brazil, if I'm correct, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So what Zach says here, in a post-labor world, how would AI help usher in reliable UBI outside of the state apparatus? And that's,
by the way, he predicted where this was going. This was right at the beginning of the episode, almost 2 hours ago.
Yep, he knew. So I guess I'm done.
That's why we said
we'll hand it off to Zach. Way to go, Zach. Zach attack. No, the Legacy Ride, good channel to watch, guys. I have to agree with him on that. That's exactly where we're heading, and that is opportunity. That's the abundance, and we really need to think. I don't know if I have it on that slide, but the different ways. Blockchain's going to come into effect on robo taxis, toll roads. What if we all shared in the ownership of toll roads, and the people that are using the toll roads or the robo taxis and the self-driving vehicles are using these? We could share. We could have it. It's going to become more common. We're not talking about like stocks in the traditional manner. We're not even talking in the traditional manner of, I signed up with Robinhood today and I gave them $50 and I spread it over a couple of different stocks. We're talking even at the micro level. And that's the beautiful thing about blockchain and being decentralized and all over the world. There are going to be AI agents out there that are going to say, hey, psst, psst, go invest in this one over here in Taipei. They got a really good thing going. It's paying this much kind of, return. And we're going to be able to move coins, tokens, whatever, into Taipei, into this particular company that has a faster return. And we're going to turn on AI agents to work on our behalf. They are going to be the stockbroker. Goodbye, stockbroker. Again, you're a KVM. You have a keyboard, a video, and a mouse. You're gone. You're the dinosaur. But the AI agent is going to be talking to us and telling us where to spend that $2, where to invest that $5 from our UBI check or whatever. And there are some of us that are going to get it, and there's others that aren't. And
you're telling me that AI is going to pump and dump stocks for us, like legit? They're like,
I'm talking.
All right, like all the AIs communicate and tell you to all buy one stock, and then they sell. Like they sell their share, and they just leave everybody in the lurch and just fund some new.
People are going to hate me for saying this. People are going to hate me for saying this. Yeah, it's going to be called the Trump meme coin AI model.
It's the best coin ever. It's the best thing you could ever do with your money. Go ahead and do it.
No, there's going to be
doing it.
AI is neutral in respect of its technology. Think of AI
a gun is neutral too, William.
Yes.
But AI actually is not neutral because it does have programming. So programming has a bias, whereas a gun does not have a bias. It doesn't matter. It's who picks it up, but the AI is pre-programmed. So no matter who picks it up, it's got kind of a direction prior to you picking it up and influencing it. It's probably going to influence you, right?
Watch out. That AI agent's going to pick up the gun. They already are.
You understand what I'm saying, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah, definitely.
It is very much, but that little difference does change a little bit how we have to view and perceive how we move forward with it.
Yes. Right? Yes. But this is where the whole beautiful thing of, like, say, blockchain is you could own shares or tokens, if you will, that are distributed all around the world. And AI agents are going to be your consumer reports on what's the best investment. AI agents are going to audit other AIs and their code. AI agents are going to be able to provide you, don't go here, or hurry up, get out of that and go over here. I suggest this. The AI is going to say not financial advice. You're still going to have your discernment, or you're going to hire your own AI agent to go say, hey, here's $50 for you, AI agent one. Go invest it. Give me a weekly return, $50. I don't care if it's 5 cents, 50 cents, but we have to think in these micro levels, because that's what's going to happen. Right now, if you live in, say, Brazil, you really can't buy stock in US Coca-Cola. Oh no, the SEC is in the way. Oh no, can't do that.
Well, you could buy Coca-Cola in Nazi Germany in the 30s under Fanta.
Yeah.
The saying, and the 40s.
So government's got to get out of the way. There's your libertarian part of the message, but and can and will and push back. And people are going to be desperate. And if the right people are out there stating the facts and stating that, hey, it's the government that's holding us back from obtaining property to obtain more dividends and more payments, rather than this piss poor pilly ass tiny fraction of a UBI that I can barely scrape by and live off of, then give me the chance, give me the liberty, damn it, to invest my own money or my own information how I see fit into obtaining, and buyer beware. That
yeah, but why would they do that when the little bit is the control? Look at Gaza. Like let's every calorie let's count going in, right?
Because
to your point, why would they want you to own property? There was a point you weren't allowed to own precious metals in this country. You were not allowed to physically own precious metals. How ridiculous. Imagine going back to like this is your property. It's any property. Right. Imagine it just gets expanded from there. So that's a huge concern about how these government places and AI knowing that being used as a decision-making tool to help its agenda is going to recommend that for governments to use against us to implement its agenda. And
true. Yeah, we're not going to know which AI to trust, right? Is it fact or fiction? But see, we can spin up our own AIs, and people are doing just that. Solid, reputable people are spinning up AIs, and they're scraping the web where other AIs are saying, no, don't look here. We don't want to present that information. Maybe it has to do with the jab or something like that. I'm drawing a blank. And he's here in Texas too. Health Ranger. What's his name? I don't know. Anyway, my point being is that
Robert Kennedy Jr.
No.
My health.
My point being is that we have the ability. We still, as humans, have the ability of discernment to a certain degree, and AI is going to surpass our ability to do that very soon. Some have maybe already in certain areas of expertise.
And it really will manipulate. Let's not kid ourselves. Like I know Eric Weinstein is fucking brilliant, but I guarantee there is a blind spot that he has, just like everybody has, and it just takes time to find it. But once that button's pushed, you could probably get that person to do anything.
Yes.
Because we're flawed in that interesting way where we are malleable to an extent.
That's why Epstein was so popular. That's why Epstein was so successful. He knew what buttons to push.
Yeah, well, yeah, he knew what.
The lobbyist knows what button to push to get the vote.
He knew what pizza to deliver.
The lobbyist knows what button to push to get a certain way so that the person who has been elected as a representative will vote opposite of their constituents. That's a fact of life. It's been going on for ages, So that's where I come in as an agorism. I'm others would call it, I'm an anarchist. I don't believe solutions are going to come from DC or through DC. And so that's maybe where some people are not going to get it. But what I'm talking about and what other people are talking about and proposing solutions, we have a tough battle and a tough fight against us. The difference here is even the libertarians are going to take to the streets because they're going to be hungry and they're going to want to feed their children if they haven't been able to elevate themselves into the next point or have started obtaining ways of obtaining small amounts of property that's going to generate income. So there are those that are going to be left behind for various circumstances, unfortunately, like we opened the show in the charitable, event, and there's going to be those that are going to become very successful and be able to jump ahead. But ultimately, here's the beautiful message. It doesn't have to be a technocracy. It doesn't have to be a dystopian world. What it really can be, by us coming together and grouping and saying, I don't want to rely on the government determining how much UBI I get or how much UBI they're going to deduct from me from the actions I do or take or say, freedom of speech, all kinds of freedoms, what I can or can't own. People will step forward, I believe, and choose a better life of abundance where energy is going to be nearly zero in cost. And we're going to have the technologies that we can't even foresee or fathom in the very near future, with nanotechnologies being able to create, a new polymer that's lighter, cheaper, and stronger, or whatever. Our ability to generate more electricity to, run a whatever, a spaceship and start colonizing Mars. Whatever you cannot even consume or think in your thought is going to be possible. We have the potential of an amazing opportunity to be right here, right now, where we're at, and create a future and choose a future that isn't run by these technocrats and oligarchs and a government that doesn't represent we the people. We have that right here, right now, the ability to chart our own course and make sure that we don't go down that dystopian path, but go down a path of more towards abundance, a path where we see, a cheaper cost in labor. The labor costs are gone because it's been replaced. We can now spend our time almost in the dream world of retirement, where we learn or educate ourselves. What if our UBI is predicated, the amount we receive, by how much we learn, rather than just a base minimum? What if we show that we take tests, or that we learn certain things, or we teach others?
And that, once again, that sounds great, but we have that ability now, William, and we don't take advantage of it. Because technically, if we learn more, we make more money, get better cars. Like it's the same thing, man. There's a nature nurture, but there's a huge nature element to this. Some people, and it's like 0.25%. It's a quarter of the people literally are just like, "Hi, I'm here. I'm a great person. I love you. You're huge." Like, we have interactions, great times. We still love and have all the feelings, but it's just there's nothing further to desire. Where a lot of people, like a very small percentage, have this hyper ability to do that, right? And then you've got this other group in the middle,
right? And I've had a lot of I'm kind of sitting here and I'm looking at an 18-year-old who's getting ready to go off to college, and the excitement of doing that, and he wants to go into chemistry and these kinds of things. And I think to myself, oh my gosh, AI is going to take over everything. This poor kid, And then on the flip side, I think what it would be like to be 18 and be able to witness this and take part in this change, this opportunity. There are only a few of us that even know what's going on. Imagine if you were right at the cusp of the industrial age, and you're one of the first people to move to the city, and you know that electricity is getting ready to be implemented in factories, and the opportunities are going to be abound, and what you're short by are the workers. Well, it's almost the same thing. AI is ushering a new age, a brand new age of amazing opportunity, of amazing technology that's going to make our lives easier. The robot that's doing all of the repetitive chores, and having the community, you go in together and buy your first robot that cuts everybody's lawn and cuts the neighbors' lawns in the next community next door, and we're all getting paid a dividend because we all went in together and bought the first robot. Things like that. And I think that it would be nice, rather than being in my 60s and being 18 again at this cusp, knowing that we have an ugly and maybe a higher probability of a dystopian future versus one of abundance with almost free energy. I'll take my chances, and if I could do it, I would go back and become that 18-year-old with that beautiful life ahead of me. And
so you are white-pilled.
I was so black-pilled. Until I saw the opportunities that are before us.
I'm happy to hear you say that, because I'm also fairly white-pilled. Of course, there's a possibility for everything to go wrong. And if we're talking about UBI, having the government in control of that is just a non-starter for me, because they're going to tell you, hey, you only need this tiny little pod to live in, and you're going to eat the bugs, right? That's what they'll tell you. That's enough. That's all you need. That's all we're going to give you. And someone is going to be extracting that wealth if they have control over it. And whether that's a government, a corporation, anybody, if someone can control
collecting your farts for free to power their new AI.
My farts are mine. You cannot have them.
My farts, my farts.
You may not have my farts.
No. The farts have now gone into the ether, so everyone can smell them. So they're everybody's.
But what I think, and I like your property example as well, having that be kind of a root of your income and your prosperity, because not only will that kind of solve some problems, but it also really incentivizes people to take care of their property and make it beautiful and make it a place that people want to be around. So that already enhances the world. So I like that, but just the abundance that's going to come out of this, as long as we don't blow ourselves up in the process. I'm very white-pilled about that. I think if you're not using AI right now to try to create solutions and create new things, you should. You really need to get on top of that, because your job could be gone tomorrow. But if you're one of these people that can use the tools that exist, and they're still developing, like you said, they're still in their infancy, but if you can use them, you can be so much more productive, and people will pay for that. So that keeps your job safe, at least for a while.
Yeah. So there you go, guys. That's what I had to say today. And
thank you for coming on, William. Mark, any final thoughts?
Oh yeah, one other thing is I got my Kindle here. I don't want to get it wrong.
Before William finishes, I did want to play, because look, the whole thing that what kind of brought this up a little bit, and or at least accelerated it, was Justin brought up this gentleman, Imad Mostak, or is that correct?
Imad Mostak, I think is how you pronounce it.
Correct. I have downloaded his white paper.
So we got 4 clips of that. I'd like to at least just play one, Jason, if you'd like to pick one, the best that you think, because you clipped them.
Whatever you guys.
Well, I know, but I think we're pressed for Jason too, and everybody. I want to be respectful for everyone's time. I'm here as long as you guys want me. So you tell me.
I was thinking maybe we could save it and do it for another episode.
Okay, let's do that. We'll come back. We'll do a 2.0. Maybe we got time.
It's good stuff. It's a lot of the stuff that we kind of touched on. He talks about energy being kind of a unit of currency, not currency per se, but like competition. Yes, the competition for energy, UBI solutions, talking about solving the socialist calculation problem. He didn't say the words directly, but they kind of danced around that. So a lot of good stuff in there. We could talk about it for another 3-4 hours probably. So maybe
we definitely could. Let's do another 2-hour episode on it. Maybe September. So we do have a couple things, Jason. We got some great guests coming up here. So I don't like counting chickens, but we have Per Bieland coming back on the 1st of September. That's a huge one. Share, Jason, you've read a lot of his stuff. Share with me your excitement. William, share some of your thoughts about Per as well, because that's just such a huge one.
Oh yeah. By the way, your last week's show was phenomenal with the gentleman that you met. I really enjoyed that. I like the story about the satellite story. And my first thought was when the governor became a U.S. senator and went to Washington, he flipped. Boy, isn't that?
Yeah.
Boy,
state people love you, federal hate you. That's why they had the separation of the powers, because they understood it. They got it.
Is that now the gentleman that was in the Netherlands? Is that who you're talking about?
We're talking about Per Bieland or Bieland. He's Swedish. He actually lives in the United States. He wrote this book, The Seen, the Unseen, and the Unrealized. As well as many other books. He
How to Think About the Economy, a primer, right?
Yes. Yeah. Very smart dude. We've each had him on our individual shows.
And he was on the AI chat here. So maybe we can revisit a little AI with him. Maybe we could, maybe that's a good thought. Maybe we can bring you on, William, for that or something. Just a thought. We're talking while we're talking about it. But
that's in 2 weeks.
So that's
right.
Yeah, and that's one in 2 weeks. Yeah, a couple of weeks. And then we got another one. Not yet booked, but Matthew Pyatt is Ron Paul's grandson. Cool. So he's got a thing, Hand to Mind, I think is his organization. We also talked about David Dadman on Facebook. I don't want to say his last name, but you could look him up. It'll have his last name. But basically, he's also connected with Ron Paul. Liberty Memes Foundation.org, once again, for Austin Blaylock, all that stuff. But we got we're leveling up, man. Dan McKnight, to your point, William, was the most amazing conversation. And Jason, I'd love to hear your thoughts hearing it again, because I got a chance to listen to it. I actually listened to it twice.
Oh, he was great, man. That was definitely one of our most energetic and enthusiastic guests that we've had. And the cause is great as well. So it was great to have Dan. defendtheguard.us, everybody, check that out. But thanks again, William, for joining us. Really appreciate it. Great insights. I love what you have put together. I still hate UBI, but I mean, it could be a decent way to transition.
FUBI.
There's FJB, and then there's
Holy
FUBI.
shit, we got t-shirts. FUBI on the back. Make 7 up yours.
Oh, God.
All right.
Great
At
insight.
the top of the morning to you, little bastards. What's going on?
Well, I'm in Texas, and in Texas, how you say George in Spanish is Jorge, so which is a J, right? So that works with Jorge Bush or George Bush. So FJB, you could pick one for a long.
Hey, perfect. Hey, William, I know you're pretty kind of low key guy, staying off the grid mostly.
Well, I was.
Is there anywhere you
I
want?
wasn't, and then I was.
Anywhere you want people to follow you or find your stuff or
Yeah,
connect with you?
right now, right there, IBM, I am for I am we, and by the way, it's I am like as in William, the I am, and my wife's name is Miriam, so her name is Miriam, which also has I am, and us together. So I'm here for her, she's here for me. I am for I am, and we are together. So that's where the name comes from. I am for I am, and that's on my on the Twitter or X account. And I'll be honest with you, I hadn't posted recently, just because I had an ugly experience with the knock at my door. That's a whole nother conversation by authorities for the way I talk, and so that's one of the reasons also why I'm kind of changing my conversation towards more AI rather than anti-government speak. So I've been silenced. That's a whole nother conversation. We talk about that offline. And
all right.
And if anyone wants to fund my markfeet.com website for $99.99, I'm taking
Mark's only fan.
donations.
He's branching out. He's going independent.
I'm branching out, guys. So if anybody's interested.
Oh gosh. Is it? Well, I think there's a William.fart. I got my farts for sale. So
we almost hit 200. We got so close.
Oh,
Thank you
so
so many
close.
for coming. It was so holy shit. We just jumped. Oh, it's crazy. So much for everyone joining us on If by Whiskey. William,
it's been too long since I've cared. I keep the pain inside my head. But this reckless life of a bandit will surely take me to my grave. I've got my iron and my 6 string.